Welcome, everybody. It is episode 38 of the Off the Wall Hockey Show, and we are getting ready for regular season hockey. Just a few days away, coming up opening night on Tuesday. It is going to be so much fun. Absolutely cannot wait, and we've got a great show planned for you here as we're going to be previewing the first week of games, Tuesday through Friday, and also doing game picks for all of those games to start the season as well. So this is going to be a really, really fun one. I hope you guys are ready. It's the Off the Wall Hockey Show, a hockey show for hockey fans, part of the Steel Flyers All Sports Network, and my co-host, per usual, again tonight, is Steel. What is going on? Welcome. Thank you so much for doing this and being on the show again. And how do you feel about hockey being back?
Ooh, oh man, I'm telling you what. Is it hockey yet? I'm so excited. Like, I've been watching as many of the preseason games as I can get my bloody eyes on. I've watched the Seattle Kraken play already. That's freaking awesome, right?
Yeah.
I'm excited. I'm beside myself with excitement. I can't wait to get this season rolling. We're going to have full 82 games. We had full training camps, full preseason. We're going to have full season hockey where teams are going to be playing every other team in the league. I can't wait. Let's go.
Yeah, it's going to be absolutely awesome to have, things pretty much back to normal, schedule, divisions, full season. It's really, really cool. And it's going to be some really good hockey, I think, this year as obviously the talent in the league is absolutely incredible, and we saw how much fun last season was, and that was a shortened 56-game season. Now we're going to get that for the full 82. It is going to be a lot of fun here, and getting into it, opening night, man, what a couple of games to start the season. ESPN's first broadcast back covering the NHL since NBC took over after the lockout in 2005.
Yeah.
And, man, they did not disappoint with their scheduling on opening night as we open up with the defending Stanley Cup champion Tampa Bay Lightning raising the banner against the Pittsburgh Penguins at home at 7:30. That is the first game of the season. That should be a really good one.
Ooh, look, so let's address the elephant in the room right off the bat. Okay. To me, the elephant in the room is this. We've watched some preseason games now so far this year, correct?
Yep.
Okay. And you've covered a few. You've done some live games already, which, by the way, man, if you guys are not checking John out for his live streams, then you guys are missing out, because John from Off the Wall Hockey Man is the man doing the live streams. So you got to be checking him out. He'll be doing a lot of games this year. But what do you think of the ESPN coverage so far that you've seen so far?
Well, we haven't seen an ESPN exclusive yet, so
Right.
I don't really know what to expect with that. I'm kind of waiting for that big happening on opening night when we see ESPN's exclusive coverage. I've been watching on ESPN Plus, and it's been good. The quality's been good. The video feed's been good. They've just been taking the regional broadcasts, and you do have the choice to choose between the away broadcast or the home broadcast, which is great.
Okay.
You can listen to the announcers that you want to.
Wow.
And that's been good. ESPN Plus has been great so far. I'm really glad I had it. It's allowed me to watch a lot more preseason games than I normally would have been able to watch.
Yeah.
So that's been awesome. But opening night, we're going to see what ESPN has as far as pregame shows, intermission shows, and just their overall exclusive broadcast where it's not a regional network. It is a strictly ESPN game. And I'm really excited to see what that's going to entail.
I am too. And I've actually occasionally I scan through the channels to check, because, you have to do, as an occupational part of the job, you have to do as much research as you can. And unfortunately, ESPN is one of the channels you have to do research on.
Yep.
But I'm starting to see the promos
Yeah.
now,
Yep.
right? They're starting to run the promos now for the hockey games.
There's been a lot of commercials with
Yeah.
hockey on ESPN. Yeah.
Yeah. Right?
Yep.
So I'm getting excited about that. Now, we've seen a few TNT games and we've seen some exclusive TNT games.
Yeah.
Right. This
They
is the
did a
other elephant
couple.
in the room now, because these two have split the purchase of the hockey season. So some games are going to be on TNT and the other games are going to be on the ESPN platforms.
Yep.
Okay. So what is your take on the TNT stuff?
They had some technical difficulties in their first game, which was the Bruins and Flyers game last Thursday.
Right.
But other than that, I think, those are just kind of kinks that they're going to have to work out as they learn how to do hockey. But other than that, all the graphics looked absolutely amazing. I like their scoreboard. It's actually pretty similar to the one that I have on my streams. Like, it's tucked away in the corner. I like that.
Yep.
It doesn't take up too much space on the screen.
Exactly.
And graphically, I thought it looked really good. And, they had a lot of, ESPN or NBC guys that were covering the game. Like, their broadcast crew was a lot of guys that came over from NBC. Yeah. But they mixed in Rick Tocchet, who was the coach of the Coyotes last year, and he's now an analyst for TNT. And they've got some new faces that you're going to see throughout this year during the intermission shows and stuff like that. Wayne Gretzky's another one who has signed on to be an intermission analyst as well. So that's going to be really cool. And there's a good mix of the regular faces from NBC that have jumped ship over to TNT or over to ESPN to kind of continue doing hockey. But there's also a good mix of new people coming in that I think is going to be really cool.
Agreed. I too kind of feel the same. I was a little leery at first about ESPN taking over for the hockey because of what they did with the Formula One coverage. Like, all they basically did was buy the feed. And so there's no support shows, there's no pre-show, there's no after, you know what I mean? There's nothing, right? So all they did was basically just buy the feed. Yeah. Well, I was hoping that they weren't going to just like what they did so far, where you can choose between which local market you want.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So in actuality, you need ESPN there with cameras and people, and you see what I mean? So that's what I'm expecting to see here opening night.
Oh, yeah. That will be opening night for sure.
All right. I'm not really necessarily all that worried about it per se, because they've done it in the past. So they pretty much have a big giant bank of, hey, we've already done this before. This is how we did it. Right? Now you have more and better technology now, where the cameras are now smaller and now they're remote controlled now, so you don't have to have a guy standing there anymore. I mean, you know what I mean? So the technology's improved since last time they did it. I was also impressed with the TNT as far as how they presented the game graphically. I was a little bit turned off by some of the on-air talent. I was a little bit disappointed with the glitches that I saw. Tocchet had worked previously in Philadelphia for a couple of seasons in between him coaching Tampa Bay and when he went out to Arizona. And he did a stint there in Philadelphia where he was part of the, in between games, or the intermission reports, the pregame and the postgame, and he was part of that. Right. And he just seems so stiff. I don't know. He has a lot of knowledge. You know what I'm saying? I'm not doubting the guy's knowledge. He just seems really stiff. That's all. That's my only critique, is that he's really stiff. I like that they got Jonesy back behind, in between the glass for TNT. I think that was the best move they probably could have made. You know what I mean? Because Jonesy was one of the better ones from NBC, in my opinion. But okay. All right. I just wanted to see what your take was on that, because that's kind of the elephant in the room as far as I'm concerned, where people are looking at, hey, now this is not on the usual platform that we're used to.
Yeah, I mean, it was what, 15 years of NBC, so now it going to different coverage and a whole, new channel and a whole new style of broadcast and whatever new stuff that ESPN and TNT are going to bring to the table. It's going to be exactly that. It's going to be new and different for people who have been watching hockey for the past 15 years on NBC. They're used to NBC's way of doing it. Now there's definitely going to, I think, be some differences.
I'm going to be interested to see how the fans react.
Yeah.
To the coverage from the different networks. I'm going to be interested to see how this is going to react.
Yeah.
How the fans are going to react. You know what I mean?
I wonder who they're going to like better, because now for the first time in, so long, you have two different broadcast, networks here covering it, where it was strictly NBC. Now you have two, so it's going to be interesting. Like, do they like TNT's coverage? Do they like ESPN's? Which one wins out with the battle here between the two networks?
Well, the way it's set up is that each network has a select half of teams or games that they're going to show, and then they split the playoffs. And then they alternate the Stanley Cup every other year.
Yeah.
So it's like what they do with football.
Yeah.
Well, see, football's on 2 different channels. Now it's on
4.
Well, 4.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, but usually, so all the AFC games are on the CBS channel, and all the NFC games are on the Fox channel.
Yep.
Well, every other week, they alternate which channel gets the doubleheader.
Yeah.
Right, so they get to show a 1:00 game and then a 4:00 game, and then Fox will show a 1:00 or a 4:00.
4:00, yep.
Right, and then the next week it'll be reverse.
Yep.
Right, so that's what I'm anticipating, how things are going to probably fly with the whole ESPN TNT kind of thing, where you're just going to see, flip flop of, who's covering which game.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's going to be based on kind of nights. It looks like ESPN's taking Tuesdays, and then they have Thursday and Fridays on ESPN Plus, and then TNT is taking Wednesday nights. And then later in the year, once football season ends and they start getting into weekend games, I forget which it was, but one of them is taking Sundays and the other one is taking Saturday games. So
All right.
It's kind of because football, everyone plays on Sunday for the most part, except for the Thursday night and the Monday night, but all the other games are on Sunday, so they have to kind of balance it out on that one day. Where hockey, you have, games going on 7 days a week, so it looks like they're going to, ESPN's going to get this night, and TNT's going to get that night, and and that's how it seems to be working between the two, which makes sense and puts, a lot of hockey on for us to watch, because rather than just having hockey on Wednesday and Sunday, now it's Tuesday, Wednesday, Saturday, and Sunday, or something like that.
Right, and then, hey, sprinkle in a couple of football games, and man.
Yeah.
So, here's the sick part about why I love the sports that I do, because we're getting into a time of year where we call this the quadruple play.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is this. You get a Formula One race that'll happen on Sunday. You get a football game that'll happen on Sunday. You get another college football game that'll happen on Saturday.
Yep.
Right? You could potentially have a hockey game happen either Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, or 2 of those nights.
Yep.
Right? So to me, that's the quadruple play.
Yeah.
What did you do this weekend? Sports.
Yep. Yeah. No, it is.
What I mean?
And I'm, football and hockey are my big sports that I watch, as much as I can. And it's like college football on Saturday, NFL on Sunday. You've got hockey games going on Saturday and Sunday, and you've got hockey all week as well.
All week.
So
right.
It's like it's just nonstop sports. When football and hockey season are both going, it is nonstop sports.
I like what Perlo says. He always says that he watches a divorce amount of hockey.
Yes, That's a good way of putting it.
That's a lot of hockey, brother.
It is a lot for sure.
Oh man, but it explains why he's at the level of knowledge that he is.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
when we don't call him the great pearls of wisdom for nothing, you know what I mean? All right, man. Listen, I am ready to get rolling in this. I just wanted to get what your take was, what your thoughts were on the coverage.
Yeah.
Of what
Yeah,
we're
I'm
gonna
excited
see.
for it.
Yeah, I am too. I'm pretty excited to see what we're going to see here and how this is all going to play out. I'm interested to see some of the teams of people that they're going to have calling games
Yeah.
and some of the combinations of people. Listen, I know that you call games and you don't really listen to that a lot, but it's something that unfortunately it's part of my occupation where I do tend to listen to these people, and sometimes it's difficult.
Yeah.
I would much rather listen to you, John, to be honest with you,
Oh,
man, for
thank
real.
you.
And unless it's my hometown guys,
Yep.
right? Then if it's my homies, right? Then I got to be down with my homies. But seriously though, man, I'd much rather listen to you because you just have the people that I listen to, yes, they're professionals and they're getting paid to do it. But I also feel, and this is something that I've gotten from just being around some of these folks now. Some of these people have heads that are a little bigger than can fit through doorways.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you should really be thankful for the fact that you're doing what you're doing. Is all I'm saying. Look, I'm not trying to take anything away from anybody. Nothing like that. And I'm happy for everybody that gets the chance to sit and behind a microphone and do this. Okay, because this is not an easy gig. Right? No matter what you say or do, anybody to call a hockey game or to be part of that's not an easy gig. So big props and big respect to people who do that. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So, all right, man, you ready?
Oh, I'm ready.
All right. The defending Stanley Cup champions, Tampa Bay Lightning, raising the banner at home, opening night. And Pittsburgh's coming to town.
Yeah. What a game to start the season.
Ooh. I mean, is this just – are they just setting us up here for this game? Like, doesn't it just seem like they served up the softball with this game, right? Because the home run's coming with the next game.
Yeah, well, no, they wanted two marquee matchups opening night for sure. And obviously the late game Tuesday is Seattle playing Vegas, the two expansion teams, the two newest teams. Vegas, only been in the league since 2017. Seattle, their first ever game. Everyone knew Seattle's first ever game was going to be nationally televised. That was a slam dunk ratings-wise from the start. But both of these games are like marquee matchups, one from the Eastern Conference, one from the Western Conference. What kind of stinks, though, is that Pittsburgh is so shorthanded already with Crosby, Malkin, and now Jake Gensel out of the lineup. I mean, that's Pittsburgh's three best players right there. Certainly their three best forwards. You could maybe argue Letang and Gensel, but their three best forwards gone. That takes a little bit of that, bite out of that first game, because if that was Crosby, Malkin, Gensel, Letang, the whole squad going to Tampa Bay, what an opening night that would be.
I would have to agree with you on that one for sure. It's just very unfortunate that Pittsburgh has suffered the injuries to Malkin and Crosby and Gensel now as well too. So this is definitely going to be probably not quite the game that they were expecting.
No, they definitely were expecting Crosby and, at least I think Malkin's injury was kind of known about, but they were expecting Crosby and Gensel at least to be there. And now that they're not, that's takes a little bit away.
And also with Tampa Bay, I mean, they seem to be coming in relatively healthy.
Yep.
You know what I mean? They lost some depth. They lost some serious depth. Their whole third line basically just said, see you bye.
Yep.
Right? Took a powder. And that was to me, next to the line in New York, the Islanders line, to me, that was the best third line in hockey.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Or one of.
That Coleman Gord Goodrow line
Yeah.
was unreal, and now
Yeah.
they're all gone. So that's
Gone.
definitely some depth gone there for Tampa.
So I don't think it's going to hurt them again for this game,
Mm-hmm.
but I think it's going to be more so down the road.
Yeah, over the course of a full season, losing depth like that definitely is going to have an effect, without a doubt.
Unless their younger players can step up,
Yep.
their young core that's coming in, unless they can step up and fill in those gaps, which is what they're probably counting on anyway.
Yeah, guys like Matthew Joseph and Ross Colton are going to have to play much more significant roles this season than they did last year, and be relied upon a lot more this season to play a third line role in a regular shift and be impactful with that ice time as well. Definitely more pressure on some of those younger guys, but it's Tampa Bay. It just seems like they're going to be good no matter what.
It's almost like how, like, when New England was winning championship after championship, and Pittsburgh was winning championship after championship, and San Francisco was winning championship after, and Dallas was doing it in football, right?
Yep.
Well, it just seems like Tampa Bay is in that groove.
Yeah.
Where it doesn't really matter. They take hits to the team. The young guys step up, fill the void, and bang, they're still there. They're still competitive. They're still in the conversation. You know what I mean? That's what I think is happening, because they have been set up to be that kind of team where they can just roll one year into the next. Excuse me. Of their talent. They draft really well. They bring their players up well in their farm teams and in their young systems and things like that.
Yep.
And they develop these guys to come in and play. And when they come in and play, they're going to be impactful players. So I see Tampa Bay still being good for the next couple of years.
Yeah, I do as well. Absolutely. 100%. And I've got big expectations for them this season again. I think they're going to be one of the top teams in the NHL. And this is a big night for them, raising the banner against a shorthanded Penguins team. I think this is a big game for the Lightning to come out and get off to a good start, get off on the right foot, take advantage of the fact that Crosby and Malkin and Gensel aren't there for Pittsburgh.
Yep.
And no team ever wants to lose on banner night either. That's
right.
That's not the night to lose a game. So I think, I would expect Tampa to come out ready to play and come out hard and look to get their season off to this kind of start that they want.
I would have to second that sentiment. You never want to lose on banner raising night.
Yeah.
I mean, that's never a good look.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because you spend that whole 10 or 15 minutes before the game, right, to make all the announcements and, the whole thing.
Ceremony.
The ceremony. And then the thing gets raised. And it's like 15 minutes.
Yep.
Right? So after it's all 15 minutes, and the other team usually has to just kind of sit there and do that,
Yeah, just
clap.
sit and kind of wait and nod and be like, okay,
right.
Congrats.
Yeah, right.
We don't want you to win it again.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. After you guys are done, we're going to take your bloody heads off.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So, but you don't want to lose on banner night. But here's the thing, though. I really think that Pittsburgh, even though Malkin and Crosby are both out and now Gensel's out, but Crosby and Malkin are going to be out for extended periods of time. But I feel that Pittsburgh is on this side now.
Mm-hmm.
It's starting to go on the decline side.
Yep.
You know what I mean? They re-signed the same goaltenders.
Yeah.
What? Like, they didn't even try.
Yep. No, that's definitely a question with this team.
They did do some upgrades. They did, make some moves and stuff like that. But I really feel that they're gonna. I feel that with Hextall being there, and now you're seeing guys like Crosby and Malkin getting to the end sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I just think that they're more so on the decline this year, I think. Look, we say this every year, and then, hey, they win the division.
Yeah.
I just, especially with the missing of the games this early,
Yep.
I just think that's going to be a hard hill to climb, especially being back in their home division. That's going to be a tougher hill to climb, I think. And I just think Pittsburgh is probably going to be more on the decline this year.
Yeah, no, I mean their core is getting older. They're big players, the Letangs and the Crosbys, the Malkins and the Zuckers and guys like that are all getting up there in age. And
I mean, even Carter. I mean, they
Jeff
traded
Carter.
for him.
I mean, he's getting down to the
he's
point where
long in the tooth too. He's in his 30s.
Oh yeah, he's getting towards the end here as well. And they have a number of guys like that. They are an older team, and I think the big key for Pittsburgh is just going to be to survive the first month or two of this season.
That's a good way to put it.
I think they just need to survive the first couple months with 500 hockey, and then once they get Malkin back and Crosby back and these guys back into the lineup, then they'll probably start to look more like the Pittsburgh Penguins that we're accustomed to. But surviving those first few, first through 6 weeks, that's going to be really important for this team this season.
That's a great point, John, that you bring up too, is that surviving. That's going to be the key, because I feel that they're going to take a step back because I don't feel that they're going to survive really well.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because they're playing back in their original home division now. And I think it's going to be much harder for them to climb back out of that hole. We've seen it multiple times where the Penguins start the season off with Crosby or Malkin both hurt. They start off and they're not playing real well, and then Crosby and Malkin come back, and boom, suddenly they're the cup contending Penguins again.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's all going to depend on exactly how well they survive those 6, 8 week, 10 weeks, however, till they can get these players back.
Yeah.
I mean, that's going to be potentially 15, 20 games maybe?
Yeah, I mean, Malkin's looking like he's going to miss 2 months, so that you're looking at 20 games there. Crosby should be back a little bit sooner.
Yeah, okay.
But I mean, any games with one of those guys out of your lineup, I mean, how do you lose a superstar player like that and it just not affect you? I mean, it's gonna gonna have an impact. So
yeah.
And especially having both of them out of the lineup for the start, that's going to be the tough period that they really need to worry about.
Exactly. Which is why I'm kind of this is going to be that. Are they going to have enough fortitude within the team to be able to weather this storm?
Yep.
And if they are going to be able to weather this storm, then I think Pittsburgh will be okay. But I don't think they're gonna.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be one of the bigger storylines of the early part of this season is going to be how the Penguins do with Malkin and Crosby both out of the lineup.
That's two major storylines just in the first game.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Tampa Bay coming back, losing. They lost their whole complete third line.
Yep.
Right? They lost a lot of their depth. They're coming back as the defending champs, raising the banner. Pittsburgh coming back with Malkin and Crosby on the shelf, and other players as well. And are they going to be able to weather the storm? That's game number 1.
Yeah.
All right. Good gravy. All right. I think I kind of know where you're going with this.
Oh, yeah.
But, all right, let's have it.
I'm fully
picking
the Tampa Bay Lightning to win this game. Yeah. Just the players out of the lineup for Pittsburgh, the big players out of the lineup. And Tampa, you can't lose on banner night. Come on, you can't lose on banner night. So I'm going to go with the Lightning on opening night to open the season with a win.
Yeah. I'm with you on that for sure. There isn't even there wasn't even going to be a question.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll be real honest with you. Even if Crosby and or Malkin were in,
yeah,
I would probably still be leaning towards Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I think I'd still pick Tampa. I'm more confident in my pick knowing, what the lineups are going to look like.
Exactly, because I just think Tampa Bay is that next level.
Yeah, Tampa Bay is still one of the elite teams in the league. And Pittsburgh's a good team, especially when they're fully healthy. They're a very good team. But I think Tampa is you're still looking at a top 3 team in the NHL.
Yep, I'm with you. And we both picked Tampa Bay to go pretty far this season anyway, too.
Absolutely.
So, all right. The next marquee matchup on Tuesday night is the Seattle Kraken versus the Vegas Golden Knights. And you said it at the top, man. This is the 2 expansion teams going at it in Vegas.
Yep.
And lots of storylines going into this one.
Yeah, definitely. But I mean, Seattle's first ever game. I mean, talk about a huge moment in NHL history. You got a brand new team playing for the first time. So this one I'm super excited for. Seattle against Vegas. I mean, you're 2 Pacific Division teams that could potentially build quite a rivalry against each other. You know, if things work out and maybe they get a playoff series at some point, and all of a sudden you could have a pretty good rivalry between the 2 babies of the NHL as far as franchises go that, you know, have just come into the league and haven't been around all that long. And I'm really, really excited for this one. I think it's going to be fun. We're going to see Vegas now without Marc-Andre Fleury. So, you know, we're going to figure out, you know, Leonard's the starter, and they've got Brossoit now backing him up, and what that's going to look like. Seattle, I mean, geez, we've never seen this team play a game before. So we're going to see them, you know, play together and wear that jersey in a regular season action for the first time.
And the fact that it's going to be the away jerseys at first, man, I really, really like those white.
Yeah, their whites are incredible. And the way that the blues, like the dark blue and the more like aqua teal color pops off the white is... Seattle's jerseys to me are some of the best in the NHL. I absolutely love them.
I'm going to be buying a Seattle jersey.
Yeah, I definitely want one for sure. Yeah. That will be on my list. I'll be
getting one of them Seattle jerseys. Look, you see the teams behind me, right? I am black and orange through and through, right? I am Flyers to my heart.
Yep.
But my second favorite team is going to have to be the Seattle Kraken, man, because I am really liking how this team is put together. Not so much the coach.
Old friend Dave Hackstall.
But they're going to learn real quick the Dave Hackstall system up there.
Mm-hmm.
Anywho, but I'm excited about this team. I'm really excited about who they picked.
Yep.
Who they have on this team, the guys that they're presenting, their goaltending, their defense.
Yeah.
This team was built from the pipes out.
Very, very much so.
Okay. And so that says to me, especially now playing in the Pacific where some of these teams are more of the higher scoring teams, you know, and that's going to bode well for them later on because they're going to be able to stop people or prevent people from scoring on them. Now, they don't have a lot of offense.
Yep.
So it's not like it's going to be barn burners. It's not going to be
I wouldn't
7-6.
I wouldn't expect many 10-goal combined games that the Seattle Kraken play in. I think you're going to be seeing a lot of 2-1 and 3-2 with this team.
The over and under on the Seattle games are going to probably be right at 5.
Yeah. Yep. I would imagine so.
You know what I mean? Like if you get past 5, you're whoa, hey, what happened?
That'll be a high scoring game.
Yeah. Oh, somebody must have gotten hurt from Seattle. You know, or Grubauer wasn't in that night, you know?
Yeah.
But I also agree. I think this could potentially be the makings of a good rivalry.
Oh, definitely.
Because if you look at how Vegas is built, they're physical, they're defensive.
Yep.
Right? They don't really, I mean, they're not known to be this juggernaut offensive team.
No, especially not look at in the playoffs last year. I mean, it wasn't a high scoring postseason for them.
Right? I mean, games were being won 3-2, 2-1, the same way Seattle. Right? And that's why I think these games are going to be exactly what you said, man. I think these are going to be rivalry games because the teams are so similarly built.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And they're both kind of doing this. They're both kind of playing that same kind of style.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So that's why I think this is going to be. Honestly, I think I'd probably much rather watch this game than the Pittsburgh Tampa Bay game.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun one for sure.
But yeah, all right. So this one's going to be a little tougher to call, I think. What do you
Yeah.
think about this one?
I'm going to go Vegas. It feels weird. I feel like Seattle definitely, just because of the moment, could, it being their first game, could come out and make a big push to win their first game. But I think Vegas has the better roster. Obviously, Vegas was a team that made it to the Final Four last year. They're at home. I think that really kind of pushes things in Vegas's direction. If this was in Seattle, it might be a different story, but I'm going to go with the Golden Knights in this one in a low-scoring, close game. Grubauer could steal it for Seattle. That I wouldn't be shocked if he was able to steal it, but my pick is going to have to go Golden Knights.
And I have been so on the fence with this game ever since I saw the schedule come out, and I was just like, oh, man, I really want to pick Seattle. I really want to pick Seattle. I really want to pick Seattle. I really want to pick Vegas.
Yeah.
I really want to pick Seattle, but Vegas, I think, is going to win this game. I also agree. I think it's going to be tight. It's going to be close. It might even be an overtime game.
Yep.
Where you're going to see some shootout potential here. But I definitely feel this is going to be a tight game. And like I said, I think I would much rather watch this game than the Tampa Bay Pittsburgh game, because I know for a fact this game is going to be physical. I know for a fact that there's going to be guys plastered up against the boards on a regular basis on this game. You know what I'm saying? So I'm very much looking forward to this game, but I'm going to go Vegas.
All right, we agree there as well. I agree. I wanted to take Seattle, but my brain is telling me Vegas. So,
right? Your heart's just going, come on, man.
Yeah.
You want to pick Seattle. Come on.
Yeah. But those are both pretty fun matchups for opening night. Both games will be on ESPN. It will be ESPN's first two games of the year under the new, broadcasting contract. And they open up with a doubleheader, so that is going to be a whole lot of fun. On Wednesday, there's a few more games. We got a bigger slate of 5 games on Wednesday night, and TNT is doing the Rangers against Washington, and also, I believe, Chicago against Colorado that night. So they have a couple as well. Their first regular season games of the season, and they are doing a doubleheader as well. So plenty of hockey to watch on the opening couple days of the season. But there are some other games as well on Wednesday, starting with Montreal against Toronto. A big Canadian rivalry up north. They met in the playoffs last year. Obviously, we all know what happened. Toronto blew the 3-1 lead. Montreal comes back and wins it in 7. Then Montreal goes on to the finals. Obviously, there's plenty of rivalry between these teams and these cities.
No love lost here.
Yeah, Montreal and Toronto. Long-time rivalry, original 6 rivalry. Just another stellar matchup to open the season with. And I got to imagine that this is going to be a pretty fun game between these two teams.
Is Price going to be?
Big old question mark. We don't know. They were expecting him to be ready for opening night, but Dom Ducharme just said they're not as confident now in his ability to be ready for the first game.
Okay. And we already know that Shea Weber
will not play this season and could be done
Probably.
for good. Joel Edmondson looks like he's out 2 to 3 weeks now, so there's another defenseman down for Montreal. Mike Hoffman isn't ready to start the season, so injuries already playing a huge role.
See, you're already getting where I'm going here with this, right? Okay. Yep. Toronto doesn't have those issues.
No.
They're coming in relatively healthy.
They certainly don't have them to the level of Montreal.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're going in with a more of a full team than Montreal is. Montreal's more question marks than answers right now at the beginning of the season.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So this is also a rematch too of the playoffs from last year.
Yep.
where this is the one where Toronto was up 3-1.
Yes, they were.
And Montreal just said, hold my beer.
Yep.
And proceeded to just crank off the next 3 games and win against Toronto, sending Toronto home in the first round.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't see that happening for this game.
No, I think
especially with Price not potentially being there,
mm-hmm.
potentially with Huffman not. We know that Huffman's not going to be there. They're gonna, they lost one of their offensive threats, I believe. I feel this was kind of a mistake as far as my opinion. Them losing Kotkaniemi,
mm-hmm.
I think is going to be more of a blow to them than they realize.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, not saying that Cole Caulfield ain't a bad, like that ain't bad to have waiting in the wings. But if you had all 3 of them, see what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Just that all 3 of those young guys. Anyway, so I have a feeling that Montreal's going to be let's see and wait how they're going to pan out for this season. So.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm definitely leaning Toronto in this one as well. In Toronto, they're going to want revenge. I mean, they've got to have. They must, as soon as the schedule came out, they must have circled that first game, and not because it's the first game, but because of who it's against. After what happened in the playoffs last year, they cannot be happy. They want to come back with a vengeance, and I think the Leafs are probably going to take this one on their first game.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm going to say the same, and I'm going to copy that sentiment and say that I'm also going with Toronto on this one. There's too many question marks going in with Montreal, even though, look, they won the conference last year. They went to the Stanley Cup Finals. They played relatively well against Tampa Bay. I mean, all things considered. But there's too many questions, too many pieces missing in Montreal. And Toronto is definitely smelling blood in the water after last season's rout and loss. So, yeah, I'm going Toronto on this one.
All right, so there we go, Montreal versus Toronto. The next game is the first one on TNT for the regular season, the New York Rangers against the Washington Capitals. And, well, we certainly know about this matchup after the way things ended last year. You had the whole Tom Wilson thing with Artemi Panarin, then you had the 6-fight game in their final meeting of last season. And then we had the Rangers beefing up in the offseason and making a very concerted and well-known effort that they were going to add grit and get tougher. Insert Ryan Reeves, insert Barclay Goodrow. This Rangers team's got some muscle now. They are not going to be pushed around this season the way that they were last year. And again, what a game to start the season with for these two. It's in Washington, so you're going to have this new look, beefed up Rangers team going into Washington. I am really, really excited for this matchup. I can't wait to watch this game. And I don't know if there's going to be more fights or more goals, but we might be seeing a good number of both of those things with the talent that these teams have in the lineup as well. It's gonna be a fun one, and I can't wait to see how this one shakes out and just what the overall game is like.
With the additions that the Rangers made, getting the grit and toughness to go up against the likes of Tom Wilson, hint, hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. I mean, let's face it, that's the main reason why the Rangers did what they did, because they can take care of guys like Tom Wilson. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to take anything away from those type of players. Look, you need to have players like that you need to be checking yourself when those guys step out on the ice, because if you're not looking, they'll take your head off.
Absolutely.
Okay, you need to have those kind of players out there. And so I'm not taking anything. I'm not advocating for players to play dirty, or to play like some of those players play.
Yes.
Okay, I'm not advocating that at all. But you need to have a level of physicality and a level of grit to your game to play a hockey game.
Absolutely.
You just do. Okay. And so I also feel the same about Washington as I do about Pittsburgh. I think Washington is going to take a step back this year.
I do too with the Capitals. There's questions I have with that team.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm concerned with their aging core.
Yep.
I'm even more concerned with their defense.
Yeah, I do not like their D-core.
And their goaltending.
Yep.
Okay, look, I'm not trying to take anything away from it's Sorokin, right?
Samsonov.
I'm not taking any.
And Vanacek.
All right. They kept the same guy. Look, Vanacek played all right down the stretch.
Mm-hmm.
Samsonov played all right. Their goaltending is not that terribly bad, but
it feels like very middle of the road goaltending.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Like there's no other clear way to say mediocre.
Yeah, it's definitely not like top 10 in the league, but it's not bad. It's just very middle average goaltending.
It's very average.
Yep.
It's like, all right, okay. That's why I think that Ovechkin's still going to get goals.
Yep.
But clearly he's on the decline. Okay. I'm not saying that the guy isn't still talented. Okay. But do you really think you're going to see 50 goals from him this year?
I have him at around 46.
All right. That's not really losing that much of a step then.
No, I don't think you're going to see a huge drop off. But
okay.
See, I think offensively the Capitals are probably going to be okay. I do not like their D-core.
Okay.
I think their defense is very, very mediocre.
I agree.
And that's going to end up being a problem because they're going to struggle to keep the puck out of their net.
Exactly. And with their goaltending only being
Average.
Middle of the road.
Yeah.
It's going to be tough road to hoe there.
Yeah.
And I think with the improvements that New York has done, it's going to be a much tougher game to play against New York.
Yeah.
And they're bringing back almost their full core of guys are coming back.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Panarin's going to be healthy. Zibanejad's going to be healthy. Everybody's going to be healthy.
The young guys are a year older and a year more developed.
More experienced. Yep.
Capo
exactly.
Caco and Lafreniere. And, I mean, it's go time for the New York Rangers now. It is go time for the Rangers.
It is. And you even have the New York Rangers coach winning up for the Jack Adams.
Yeah, Gerard Gallant. I mean, we all know he was a great coach down in Florida, got very abruptly fired there, and then we all know what he did in Vegas, taking them to the finals in their first ever season, and was a great coach in Vegas and got abruptly fired there again for some reason. But now, I mean, he's done well with teams. He does a good job with teams that maybe haven't been the best or haven't even existed at all, if in the case of Vegas, and getting them to that next step and getting them to that level and really getting the most out of teams. And if he can do that with the New York Rangers, watch out, because there's a ton of talent there.
I agree. That, in fact, the Rangers actually kind of scare me this year.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest with you, as far as how much potential they have of being good.
Yeah.
They have the speed, they have the physicality, they have grit now.
Yep.
They have pretty darn good goaltending, I would have to say, too.
Yeah, I think Shesterkin is ready to really break out.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. And I'm with you on that, Shesterkin as well. I really feel that last year was that bridge year where he finally was able to, I think when he steps out on the ice this year, it's going to be all coming together for him.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because he had to learn to play on the smaller ice.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Coming over from Europe and playing on the bigger ice. And so that takes a little bit of time,
Yep.
especially for a goaltender.
Yeah.
Right? You know, because that takes a little bit of time to get used to that smaller ice.
Absolutely.
Because guys are coming at you much faster.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have nearly as much room to make decisions now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, it's not like it's this huge, you know, it's a difference of 500 yards. No, but still, that extra blink or that extra second because you have that extra 10 yards.
Yep.
It could be the difference between a save and a goal.
Yep.
So, I mean, you know, but all right, man, I will go first on this one.
Mm-hmm.
And I will pick the team from New York. I'm going with the Rangers on this.
Yeah, I am too.
Are you? Okay.
I think the Rangers come out opening night and really show that they've arrived and that this is going to be the year where the Rangers take that step. It was talked about last year. Some people thought it might be last year. They got off to a really rough start. They made a good push at the end to try and make it, but they just came up a little short. Their really bad start ended up, you know, kind of being the biggest issue. I don't see that happening again. This team's ready to go. I got the Rangers.
I'm with you on that too. I'm all day on the Rangers on that one as well. I think Washington's going to take a step back this year. Mm-hmm. But all right, my man, that brings us to the Winnipeg Jets versus the Anaheim Ducks.
Yeah, this is an interesting one. I have really high expectations for the Jets this year.
I do too.
I think their top 9, particularly of their forward group, is outstanding. I think they've greatly improved their defense core, which was kind of that one big question mark with this team. Their top
that we had from last year,
yeah. Their top 4 defense looks, you know, even better this year, significantly better this year with the additions of Dillon and Schmidt into the lineup. And then you've got one of the best goaltenders in all of hockey minding your net with Connor Hellebuck. So the pieces are in place for the Winnipeg Jets to be a very, very good team this year. Anaheim, as we know, is a rebuild right now. They're getting that young talent in. They've drafted, you know, Jamie Drysdale. They've drafted Jacob Perreault. They've drafted Trevor Zegras. You know, they're kind of waiting for that young group to come in. But they're still very much in a rebuild right now. So
right,
Winnipeg is definitely the better team heading into this season.
As just even better than Anaheim, but better than what they were. I believe they're better than what they were last year.
Oh, absolutely. I agree. Winnipeg's a better team this year.
And I also believe the Hellebuck will probably potentially be up for Vezina this year.
Yeah, he's my Vezina pick. I think.
I know.
I certainly think he's going to be a finalist. Certainly think it's set up for him to be a finalist this year.
Yeah, that's why I mentioned it because you had him picked because you know if you haven't checked out John's prediction show, you got to go check it out. He did a quick little prediction show there for all the awards. Pretty much mirroring what we did the week before, where we predicted all the awards for the shows or for the players. So I also agree. Anaheim is definitely in the rebuild, but boy, does that Zegras kid looks amazing. I mean, their draft picks look really good.
Yep.
So I think they're like where New Jersey was like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because like New Jersey got those couple of number 1 draft picks, and now look at where New Jersey is. You know, we'll get to them a little later. But I also feel too that Winnipeg is much improved from last year. And quite honestly, man, I got Winnipeg all day on this game.
Yeah, I do too. Jets should definitely beat the Ducks. I mean, that's just one team being way better than the other.
Even it doesn't even matter that it's at Anaheim. You know what I mean? It doesn't.
No, Winnipeg should win this game.
I'm with you all day on that one, too. All right. The next one I have here on the list is one that's going to be a little bit more of a game, I think.
Yeah.
Right?
I would certainly imagine.
Because with all the additions and everything, we're talking about the Chicago Blackhawks versus the Colorado Avalanche being the next game here on Wednesday, October 13th. And this is the other TNT game, right?
This is the late TNT game.
Yeah.
Back in the same division after Colorado made the 1-year hiatus over to the West. They are back in the Central this year. And, Chicago, obviously a ton has been made about their offseason with the trade and massive contract for Seth Jones, the trade for Marc-Andre Fleury, and just the overall big additions to the Chicago Blackhawks, the return of Jonathan Toews, and he's looked good in the preseason so far, so that's great to see. And a lot's been made about Colorado's offseason as well, but in the other way, in the guys that have left. And, the loss of Philip Grubauer in free agency, the loss of Brandon Saad, the trading away of Ryan Graves. Also, Connor Timmins, they had to include in the trade with Arizona to be able to get a starting goaltender in Darcy Kemper. So, Colorado's had some moves as well, and it seems like they've lost a little bit more than they've gained, whereas Chicago has been making, mostly significant additions.
Yeah, because all they really did was they lost Duncan Keith.
And he was on a sharp decline.
You know what I mean? And so getting Toews back is like the ace in the hole for Chicago.
Yeah.
Because he was already on their team, and it's like, you have that injured player and he comes back and it's like, oh, hey, it's like, a fresh free agent just signed for your team, but he's already been part of your team. But that's what I'm talking about, though. You know what I mean? So having him back is going to really be a major push for Chicago. I think that with what Chicago has done, I'm not happy about the Seth Jones contract. I think it's way bloated and way more than what that player deserves to be making at the level of play that he's at. But I think they put together a pretty good team up there in Chi-Town. And I got to be honest with you, man. I'm looking for them to get over the hump this season. Last season they had a good push, right? And they were in fourth place. You're like, whoa, hey, Chicago.
Yeah.
Right?
And then they faded.
Towards the end of the season, they kind of dropped off and fell out.
Yep.
But for a while there, they held fourth place. And it was like, wow, Chicago. All right. What rebuild? Well, what do you mean they're in a rebuild year? Well, they're in fourth place.
Yeah.
So I'm looking for them to take the next step and potentially be banging on the playoff door for Chicago this year.
I agree. I think they're going to be right in the thick of that playoff race in the Central.
Colorado, I also agree, has taken a bit of a hit. But you know what? I think if you really look at it, as long as Darcy Kemper can stay healthy,
that's a big key.
He's as good, if not maybe a tick better than Grubauer.
Yeah, he certainly can play as well as Philip Grubauer if he's healthy, for sure.
Key word is if he's healthy.
Yeah, which has been a struggle for him.
Exactly. So in that respect, they lost Grubauer, but in slots Darcy Kemper.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So they did lose some things on the back end, you know what I mean? That kind of thing. But I still think Colorado is going to, quite frankly, I think it's Colorado's division to lose.
I agree. I
don't think there's anybody in that division that's even going to, come close.
Yeah, it's similar to Tampa Bay, I think. They've definitely taken a little bit of a hit, but they're still a great team.
Agreed. Yeah. All right, now, who do you got in this one, buddy?
I'm going to go Avs in a close one. This is definitely more of a toss-up game. Either team is capable of winning, but I'm going to take the Avalanche in a close one at home.
I looked at this and I thought, yeah, man, Chicago's made a lot of additions. Colorado's had some losses, and, I still have to go Colorado. I still have to pick Colorado. Until they prove me wrong.
Yep.
Right, I'm going to pick Colorado. Until they lose.
Yeah, give you a reason not to pick them.
Right?
Yeah.
Gonna pick them.
Yep.
So I'm all over that one as well. Gosh, man, we have agreed on every pick so far.
Well, we have a big slate of game coming up on Thursday, so maybe at some point on the Thursday games we'll differ. Or maybe we'll differ on this next one.
Who knows? What do you think?
Final Western Conference game from Wednesday night is the Vancouver Canucks against the Edmonton Oilers. Obviously a battle of Western Canadian teams there. And Edmonton, I mean, we know we know the Oilers, they're heavily reliant on McDavid and Draisaitl. Now, those two guys are exceptional players and can carry a team, at least in the regular season. Playoffs have been a different story, but they went out, they added Zach Hyman to try and get some help for McDavid and Draisaitl on the wings. They went out and made some pretty significant changes to their defense core, adding Cody Ceci, adding Duncan Keith, and trading away Ethan Bear. And there were just overall some changes on the back end there. They returned the same goaltending tandem, though, from last year, which is Mike Smith and Mikko Koskinen. Smith had a great season last year, but he's certainly getting up there in age. We'll see if he can replicate that. And there's certainly questions there with Edmonton as far as in the net. Then on the Vancouver side of things, obviously last year was an abysmal season. Had a lot of COVID issues, ended up missing like a month and having to make it all up at the end. And it was just a disastrous year for Vancouver. They had a lot of injuries as well. They're back relatively healthy. They got Elias Pettersson and Quinn Hughes both signed. So I'm certainly expecting a different Vancouver team this season than what we saw last year. Something closer to what we saw in 2020, where, you know, they were able to win in the bubble and go on a little bit of a run in the playoffs before falling to Vegas. So better Vancouver team. Edmonton team we're kind of waiting to see on how, you know, where they're going to be at. Definitely still going to be a good team. Anytime you have McDavid and Draisaitl, you're sitting in a good spot. But
I mean, you know,
this should be a fun game.
Should be. I think it's going to be a much better game than what it was last year's matchup.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, because of what happened with Vancouver and everything like that. You know what I mean? That's just getting the short straw of the stick. You know what I mean? That just kind of stunk. I agree, though. From what I've seen of their preseason, they look really good. They are coming back strong and healthy. Vancouver is. You know what I mean? I'm still scratching my head on the re-signing of Smith and that tandem up there in Edmonton, because that, I think, aside from their defense, that was one of the things that let them down during the playoffs last year.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And so the fact that they brought those two same guys back.
Yeah, I definitely thought they could have upgraded in goal.
I'm not taking anything away from Smith and how he played in the regular season, because quite frankly, I think it was one for the ages for him. Right?
It was one of his best seasons in his late 30s.
Okay, right. One of his best seasons. You don't usually get too many bites at that apple.
Yeah.
Especially in the later 30s.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm not saying that he's not a good goaltender, and I'm not saying that he's not capable of having a good year, but that was definitely one of the chinks in the armor when it came time for playoff and for playoff time.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And
I agree.
You need to have that goaltender to stop the puck in the playoffs. And look, frankly, I don't care what you do for me in the regular season. Okay, as long as you win enough games and score enough points to get to the dance, I don't care what you do in the regular season. None of it matters anyway. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, right?
Yeah, it's once you get to the playoffs, it's all about the playoffs. And if you don't perform there, then the regular season was a throwaway.
I'm with you. I think I have to agree with you on this one too. I just can't. There's too much of Connor McDavid and Draisaitl right now. So, and they've proven to be a regular season juggernaut.
Yeah.
And it's just going to be tough to unseat that throne. And so until I see them lose that, I'm going to continue to pick Edmonton. Now, if this was a playoff game, right, and it was Vancouver against Edmonton, I would not even be considering Edmonton in this game. Only because it's a playoff game. That's I know. Look, this is all for fun, right?
Yeah.
None of this means anything. Yeah. I'm still going with Edmonton on this one, though.
Yeah, I'll take Edmonton in this one. It's going to be a good game. It's going to be close, but
I agree.
I'll take the Oilers. I just think too much McDavid and Draisaitl.
So there you go, Perlo and Peyton on the radio. We picked your guys' team for the first opening night. So there you go.
All right, moving on to Thursday the 14th. We have a pretty large slate of games coming up on this Thursday, so we'll try and work through these.
Lightning round these ones.
We got 9 games on Thursday night, and starting with Montreal versus Buffalo, back in the same division this year, that the divisions go back to normal. Atlantic Division matchup. We've already talked about Montreal quite a bit in the for their first game and the injury issues that they're enduring, but Buffalo, I mean, it's Buffalo. That roster is in absolute shambles right now. No Jack Eichel, failed his physical, so he's not ready to start the year. He'll start out on IR. We'll see if he even ever plays again for the Buffalo Sabres.
I don't think so.
To me, I don't either. This I think is an easy one in my book, and is probably going to be a little on the one-sided side of things. I'm going to go Canadiens.
And what's really messed up, right, is that Montreal is limping into this game too, and they played the night before.
Yeah.
Right, in Toronto. Then they got to travel
to Buffalo.
Which
is a fairly short trip, but still travel nonetheless.
Right, after a game of playing a late game at Toronto, and then coming down to play a game in Buffalo.
Yeah.
I'm still going to pick Montreal on this one as well. I think Buffalo is going to be – we thought they were going to be one of the teams fighting for the number 1 pick next year. Yes. I think they pretty much cemented the fact that they will be getting the number 1 draft pick next year, or getting the number of chances at the lottery ball for the number 1 pick.
The top lottery spot to see if they get the number 1 pick.
The top lottery spot, whatever that equates to.
Yeah. Buffalo's pretty down bad right now.
Yep. And they're probably multiple years away, maybe.
Yes.
Who knows, depending on how things go. All right. So Toronto also playing in a back-to-back.
Yep.
And they have to travel to Ottawa.
Another pretty short trip, but travel nonetheless. And after a game, that's never fun. I'm sure the players aren't huge fans of when they have to travel after a game and play right away the next night like that. But man, Ottawa, a lot of young talent there. You know, they've got that young group of that core players that are up and coming, and you know, definitely not there yet as far as making the playoffs, but a lot of young talent. No Brady Tkachuk, though, for Ottawa. That's a big loss. Still not under contract. They've got to get something done there. I mean, the Ottawa Senators cannot play this season without Brady Tkachuk.
Agreed.
He's a massive part of that team. I'm
going to
go
get
Toronto.
Something done in the the 11th hour.
Yeah, something's got to get done there. I'm going Toronto, even with the back-to-back and even with the travel. Tkachuk being out of the lineup's a huge hit to the Senators, and I think it's going to be a struggle for them without him there. So I'm going to go Leafs.
Yeah, agreed. I also think the Senators have begun the process of bringing in the young core and everything like that. I'm still questioning their defense and their goaltending.
Yeah, definitely.
But they have they don't have nearly as long as they think they do, but they still have a long way to go to come back for that one. I'm Toronto with this one all the way. It doesn't matter that they played the night before. I just feel this is going to be a Toronto game anyway. So there you go. All right, this next one here is more of kind of this is another really good one here too. Pittsburgh versus Florida.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about Pittsburgh and the injuries and the guys out of the lineup. That's definitely going to hinder the Penguins. But Florida, I mean, they could be really, really good like they were last year. We could see a step back from them. There are certainly questions with the Florida Panthers, particularly what level of goaltending are they going to get with Bobrovsky and Knight as the tandem. And the defense still, you know, that D-core on paper isn't exactly a shutdown defensive D-core. But this team's going to put up points. There's no doubt about it. This is going to be a fun game. I think this Pittsburgh-Florida game is going to be a really fun game. I think it's going to be a pretty evenly matched game, but all in all, I think Florida has the ability to outscore the Penguins, especially with Crosby and Malkin out. So I'm going to take the Panthers.
I'm with you on that. I think these teams, even with Crosby and Malkin in, I think are relatively evenly matched.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean, as far as that's concerned. And Look, I'm not taking anything away from Florida by saying that they're evenly matched with Pittsburgh. I'm saying that Florida was a really good team last year. They made the playoffs. And I really feel that they have the potential to take that next step. And how they're going to take that next step is with a goaltender not named Bob.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And that's what I think is going to be the switch here for Florida.
Yep.
Is going to be Spencer Knight.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And if he is able to wrestle that job away from Bob, which I think he's gonna.
Yep.
Then I think you're gonna see Florida. But I like Florida in this game there too.
All right.
Excuse me.
Florida getting picked there. Next game up is Dallas versus the New York Rangers. So the Rangers also have to go back-to-back with travel as they go from Washington back to New York and then have to play that night against Dallas. That's an interesting matchup. Obviously, we did not see, Western teams versus Eastern teams last year. So it's going to be the first time that the Rangers and Stars have played each other in quite a while.
Yeah.
We've talked about the Rangers. I've talked about on the channel what high hopes I have for them this year and whatnot. Yeah. This is Dallas's first game of the season. Man, this is kind of a trap game for the Rangers with that travel and having to play the night before, whereas Dallas is just going to be sitting there waiting for them, not having even played a game yet. Definitely a tough one for New York on the the back end of a back-to-back like that. I'm going to actually lean Dallas in this one just because this is a scheduled trap game for the New York Rangers.
And I know how you feel about those, and you've done well with those in the past. And it would behoove me to follow your same path, right? Yeah. I just haven't been that impressed with what Dallas has done.
No, I'm not super high on Dallas this year, but
okay,
yeah.
And there's still question marks as far as how things are going to fly down there. Having these guys coming back from major injuries, from being away for such a long period of time. I know this is a scheduled trap game, but I'm going Rangers on this one.
All right, there we go.
I think the Rangers are, even though they were playing the night before in Washington, but I just think that I just think it's going to be too much Rangers for this one for Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so. All right, we got our first
difference
here. John picks Dallas and Steele picks. All right, next game is
this is a good one.
New York Islanders versus Carolina Hurricanes in Carolina, and this is the first game for both clubs.
Yes. And what a matchup to start the season.
Man, that's how you start the season.
Yeah, the Islanders obviously made it to the Final Four last year and just came up one game short against Tampa Bay. They were able to bring back most of their team from last year. Nick Leddy is gone, but for the most part, they did a very good job, about as well as they could have, at keeping the team together. Carolina, on the other hand, had a pretty tumultuous offseason with a lot of changes. Dougie Hamilton leaving, Nedeljkovic being traded away, Mrazek and Reimer both leaving. So a whole new set of goaltenders there for Carolina. A lot of changes on the back end. Kotkaniemi comes in up front after that offer sheet. So very different, whereas the Islanders were, bring back largely the same team and not a lot of differences in the lineup and did a good job of keeping the crew together. The Hurricanes went in the exact opposite direction and made a ton of changes. So this is going to be a really, really interesting one. It's in Carolina. I think it's going to be, again, two of the better teams in the Eastern Conference. But man, it's going to be a tough one. This is such a tough pick.
This is what we call a coin flick.
Yeah, this is one where you just flip a coin and see where it goes.
Right. Okay. Islanders have looked good in the preseason, getting most of their core back and then getting Anders Lee back from injury.
That's big.
Is really gonna. I really feel that they missed him down the stretch last year, and I also felt that not having him part of the playoff run was another big issue for them as well. Having him back healthy this puts that Islanders team in that next level, I think.
Yeah.
So having said that, Carolina, I believe, did the exact opposite, where I believe they took a step back this year or this past offseason.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. They were one of the better clubs going into the season last year, and it panned out.
Yep.
Right. They won a lot of games. They played really, really well. You know what I mean? And they made it to the playoffs. I'm not saying that they're still not a playoff team.
Yep.
But this is going to be one of those coin flip games. And right now the coin flip is going Islanders. Yeah,
I'm going to take the Islanders as well. I think they're the better team all around. They're the deeper team, I think, at this point.
Yeah.
And I'll take the Isles in that one.
All right. This is the next game of Arizona and Columbus Blue Jackets.
Boy.
And can you talk about what are they? This is the last pick in the draft is Mr. Irrelevant. Is that what they call him?
Yes.
Right. You're like the 255th pick in the draft. You are Mr. Irrelevant.
Yeah.
All right. Arizona and Columbus Blue Jackets. Moving on.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, this is a game of two teams that are probably going to finish last in their division.
Probably.
Not a game that's probably going to get much as far as television ratings go. All in all, I think Columbus has the better goaltending, so I'm going to go with Columbus just based on that. It's also in Columbus, so that helps as well. But, man, these are two teams that probably aren't going to be going to the playoffs this year. I think I would almost you can never really guarantee, I guess, but I would almost guarantee that neither of these teams are making the playoffs this year.
In fact, I'm going to say this. We're probably going to be mentioning these teams a lot in our weekly show.
Yes.
In the cold segment.
In the cold section, I would imagine. Yeah.
So we will be talking about these teams a lot this year, just not really in a good light.
Yeah,
so,
I agree with that.
All right, my man, here we go. This one here I think is going to be a little bit more of a matchup than what I think people are going to realize. But it's Tampa Bay versus Detroit.
Yeah.
In Detroit.
Detroit's still in a rebuild, but you're starting to see those signs of that push forward and that young talent obviously there. I definitely think it's going to be a game. I'm not expecting 7-1 or anything like that.
Yeah,
but,
right. Yeah.
At the end of the day, you've got two teams in very different spots right now. I mean,
agreed.
Tampa Bay, the defending champs, one of the elite teams in the league, and Detroit, which, funny enough, the man that built the Tampa Bay Lightning into that elite team, now building the Detroit Red Wings and Stevie Y. Detroit is definitely not there yet. They're still in that rebuild stage, so I'm going to go Lightning.
Yeah. I'm really look, how can you not like what Stevie Y does?
Yeah.
Right? All he does is just build championships.
Yep.
I mean, so I'm going to be real interested to see how Detroit's going to look in a couple years.
Yeah.
You know
definitely.
what I mean? Excuse me, because they already have the steps in place. They already have some of the, the players that they want and things like that. So, but I agree. They're still probably 2-3 years out, whatever. Yeah. Tampa Bay all day on this one. So.
Okay, yes. Next up is Seattle and Nashville.
I do want to say one thing here real quick, though.
Yep.
Last year, Detroit did kind of punch these guys in the mouth a little bit.
Yeah, they did. They did.
They played well.
Yep.
And they did, they were able to make them bleed a little bit.
They're not a pushover, that's for sure.
Right? It's not going to be an easy game, but I just wanted to make that mention.
Yes, yeah. But
Seattle, right, so moving on.
Seattle and Nashville, the next one on the board. In Nashville, obviously, Seattle's starting out the season on a road trip. So Seattle plays in Nashville, and I'm not very high on the Predators this year. I think they're going to be a very meh team this season. And
by the way, that is a technical measurement term. Meh.
I'm going to give this one to Seattle. They get their first win against the Nashville Predators. Yep. I think they're going to come out in that one. I have them dropping their first game, but I think they win this second one. And I'm going to take the Kraken over the Preds, and we'll see.
I'm going to copy that same sentiment. Yes, I know I said it before, but I also agree too. Nashville lost players this past off season,
Mm-hmm.
and they didn't really replace.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And because of the amount of parity in the league,
Yep.
you get teams that are really good for a period of time, and then they drop off for a couple of years because their players are older
Yep.
and their younger guys aren't quite there yet. And it's tough when you're picking draft picks from the middle of the draft
Yeah.
instead of the beginning of the draft.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So when you're constantly picking 20th,
Yeah.
you're not getting the best player.
Yeah, it's definitely different than picking in the top 5.
All right. So that's kind of where I'm going with Nashville on this.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're a couple of years away from kind of coming back to where they were. I like Seattle in this game as well, too. This is their first win as well. On the road for Seattle, first win. I'm with you on that.
Okay, there we have it. Final game from Thursday night is the Vegas Golden Knights against the LA Kings. And I love that matchup. I think that's going to be a fun game. Vegas on the road in LA after opening up at home against the Kraken. I've talked a lot about LA this offseason. I think they're a team that has the potential to
much improved,
be really improved and surprise some people. But Vegas, I still think, is the Kings of the Pacific.
Okay.
And I think they're going to be the best team out in that division. So I'm going to take Vegas in this one, but I do think it's going to be a close game. Quentin Byfield, tough injury news. Quentin Byfield got hurt last night for the Kings, and
I was just going to say I was watching some of the highlights of that game last night, and I did see Quentin go down, and that can't be good.
Yeah, he is out week to week now for LA, so he's not going to be there for the start of the season. That is not going to help the Kings' cause.
No,
so I'm going to go with Vegas. I think they're just the better team at this point.
Of all the teams in this offseason, the Rangers being one of them, I think the Kings are the next team that surprisingly has gotten better.
Deneau, Arvidsson, Edler coming in. They've got all the young talent, obviously up and coming. Kings are definitely should be significantly better this year than they were last season.
I mean, when we did our prediction show, where we actually had the Kings and Seattle and all those group of teams all just fighting for that 4th spot.
Yeah,
and I kind of feel that way.
Yep.
About LA. I think they're much improved from where they were last year.
Yep.
And I think they potentially could be fighting for that spot. You know what I mean? It's potential. Hey, it could happen. I got to go Vegas with this all day, though.
Yeah.
Because I just think Vegas is exactly what you said. They're the Kings of the West.
Yep.
And until they prove me wrong, I'm going to be picking Vegas all day long.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. Now we move to Friday, and this is going to be the last set of games that we do because by Friday, we'll be back to our normal show.
Yep.
We'll have our normal format where we'll have games of the week. We'll have 5 stars or 3 stars of the week.
Yep.
We'll have our prospect watch will be back. Oh man, I have got a list already.
Yes. Yes.
Of prospects to go, so I can't wait, man. So all right. Friday the 15th, this is the last set of games we're going to pick for this set here.
Yep.
And the first game on the docket is the Blackhawks versus their Devils.
Yes, and this is the Devils' first game of the season. They obviously had a big off season, a lot of moves made there. Dougie Hamilton being the biggest one. Also Ryan Graves coming in, Jonathan Bernier in goal, Tomas Tatar up front, and then the young talent that's already been there, another year developed. Hughes, Heischer, and so forth. So,
oh my gosh.
Man, we're looking at 2 up-and-coming teams here, like 2 teams that were non-playoff teams last year that are going to be looking to make a step up the standings in Chicago and New Jersey. This should be a pretty interesting matchup between these two. Man, it's a tough one to pick. New Jersey in their first game, Chicago, on the
this is their
road.
second game. I think New Jersey has been one of the most improved teams.
Yep.
Okay, since the start of last year.
Yep.
Right. Blackwood came in and looked amazing, played amazing. He was one of the surprises of the season last year. Right. Lindy Ruff coaching that team down. I'll tell you what, that has been one of the good things for the Devils.
Yep.
Is having him there. Okay. Then you got to look at the amount of young talent that has been brought into this team. Holy smokes.
Yep.
I mean, come on. I'm expecting much better things from the Devils this year. And I'm also seeing Chicago, they were what rebuild last year, right?
Yeah.
But they put a bunch of pieces in place to where we're going to probably be saying the same thing again. Yeah, what rebuild?
Mm-hmm.
I agree. I think these teams are both headed in the same direction, up.
Yep.
Okay, and I think they're doing it both in the same way. You know what I mean? They're both coming up at the same time.
Okay. Yep.
Right. But I like New Jersey in this one.
Ooh.
I like New Jersey in this one. I think their offense is going to be is going to carry them for this game. I like New Jersey's offense. That Hughes and Heischer combination. Oh, It's sick. And the amount of damage that they're going to do this year, coming in fully healthy. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
each
absolutely.
one of them missed time last year. So I'm going New Jersey on this one.
I'm going to take Chicago just to change things up here. I think this is a very tight game. I think it's going to be a toss-up game, but I'm going to take the Blackhawks just so we differ on something again there. So.
All right. Well, there you have it. Oh, man. You know what's going to happen, right? I'm going to lose my tuchus on this so bad. Last year, did I even break 500 last year? I don't think I broke 500.
I think you were a little below 500 last year.
Yeah, a little bit below 500. You were way out there.
Well, new year. We'll see what happens.
New shot. All right. 0-0-0.
Yep.
Speaking of 0-0-0, our next game is going to be one team that's already played a game and one team that hasn't played a game, and that's the Vancouver Canucks against Philadelphia Flyers.
Yep.
And I watched your preview of the Flyers, and frankly, I was a little disappointed you didn't ask me to join you on that. I'm just kidding.
I did them all exactly. They were all carbon copies.
No, I was just kidding.
I know.
I was just kidding. But I saw your preview of the Vancouver, and I saw your preview of Philadelphia. And I'll tell you what, man. Vancouver has definitely improved to a point where I think they're going to be a better team than they were last year. But now I get a chance to talk about my homie team.
Yeah.
And there has been a huge change in Philadelphia. I mean, the likes of Voracek gone.
Yep.
Gostisbehere gone. Nolan Patrick gone. Right? All these guys gone.
Yep.
And then they brought in a bunch of guys like Ryan Ellis, Derek Brassard, Keith Yandel, Ristolainen.
Yep.
Rasmus Ristolainen from Buffalo.
Yep.
Right? Cam Atkinson from Columbus Blue Jackets. And now suddenly the Flyers are like, wait, what?
Yes.
Hold on. It's a culture change. It's a shift in Philadelphia. Okay? They brought in a bunch of leadership guys. They brought in a bunch of guys that play 200 feet, that play AV's game.
Yep.
No excuses this year.
Yeah.
Right? Philadelphia came out with a bunch of excuses at the end of the season. Oh, it was COVID, and oh, it was this, and oh, it was that. And Chuck Fletcher went out this offseason and said, all right, so we need to change the team, and did everything in his power to change the team.
Yep.
One or two little missteps, but for the most part, I think he did really well, all things considered. The whole thing for Philadelphia rests on two players. Carter Hart and Martin Jones. If Martin Jones plays more than 50% of the games, Philadelphia is going to have a top 10 pick.
Yep.
Next year's draft.
Yep.
That's just the way it's going to be.
Definitely.
So, that's my assessment on Philadelphia.
Yeah, this is a huge year for the Flyers. These are both teams that have made pretty significant changes in the offseason. Vancouver, second game of the season, coming across the continent over to Philadelphia. Flyers, this is their opening night on home ice. I think this is a massive year for Philadelphia. They got to get off to a good start, especially at home. Carter Hart needs to get back to being the 2020 Carter Hart, not last season's Carter Hart. Mm-hmm. I think they have a chance to open the season with a win here. I'm going to take the Flyers.
Yeah. I'm not trying to be a homer here. I'm really not.
Yeah.
I really feel that Philadelphia is the better team than Vancouver.
Yeah.
And I feel that with Philadelphia playing at home for their opening night, which hasn't happened in quite a while. Philadelphia has opened on the road the last couple of seasons.
Yep.
Right? So this is going to be the first time that Philadelphia is going to have an opening night home game. Yeah. And I guarantee you that place is going to be dangerous. I mean, that's all I'm saying. Okay. So, but yeah, I got Philadelphia on this one all day. I'm not saying that if the teams played the next night that it wouldn't be Vancouver. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Pretty evenly matched game.
Okay. So you get where I'm coming from on this, right?
Absolutely.
So, but I just think Philadelphia opening night, I'm going with Philly on this one as well, too. So,
all right. That brings us to our last matchup, Friday night, Minnesota versus Anaheim out west in Anaheim. And is that Minnesota's first game?
It is.
Yeah, that's Minnesota's first game of the season. So they travel to Anaheim for their opener. Anaheim will have played on Wednesday against Winnipeg, and then they play again on Friday. So interesting matchup there. Minnesota obviously had a very good season last year. Anaheim, we've already talked about. They're in a rebuild stage at this point. I think Minnesota should be able to go in there and win that first game. They're a better team.
You know what? I can't even. We've talked about Anaheim.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And I just don't think it's there for Anaheim this year. They do have some good talent coming up, but I think Minnesota stood toe to toe with Vegas in that first round and bloodied Vegas.
Yep.
Took them to 7 games. Okay. I have high expectations for Minnesota this year.
I do too.
Okay. I really feel they can potentially take that next step and be the contender that I think they deserve to be. I think they have a good enough team up there. Their goaltending is good. They have a good all-around team. Their special teams is really good. You know what I mean? So, yeah, this is a no-brainer. Minnesota? I picked Minnesota to win this one.
There we go. So we both just picked Minnesota, and those are the games Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And that is going to bring us here to the end of our preview and picks.
18 we agreed on.
Yep.
Of the 20 games.
So 18 out of 20 games we agreed picking the winner. 2 we differed on, and we'll see which one was right and which one was wrong.
I'm just hoping I don't. I'm just hoping I don't get crushed.
Yeah.
Well, no, I can't because I picked all the same ones you did. I'm only gonna get 2 wrong because those are the only 2 I disagreed with you on. So, man, I'm good. As long as I agree with you, I'm good.
I don't know if I'll be 20 for 20 to start the year, but this is always fun to do, and it was great to take a look at these games that are opening the NHL season. Hockey is back this coming week, ladies and gentlemen, starting Tuesday, which is opening night, and we are both very, very excited to have regular season action back.
Oh, man, I'm telling you, look, we might even have some special shows, hopefully, for you guys this year, right? We're hoping that we can plan out some special shows to do when we have our live show. So we're hoping we can have some special shows for you guys this year.
Yep.
Okay, so we'll announce those as we get closer, but we're hoping that we can have some very special shows this coming year when we do the show live on Friday nights from 8 to 10. So you got to check us out on the YouTube channel there for sure. So a couple of hopefully some interesting, really cool shows coming up for you guys, and can't wait to do that. I'm really excited for some of this stuff. Plus the fact that hockey, I mean, come on, hockey season starting on Tuesday the 12th. If you're not excited about hockey season, well then, well, I can't help you then.
Yeah. But that brings us here to the end of episode 38. Steele, once again, Thank you so much for joining, being the co-host on the show. And man, next week we'll be back to our usual thing, our in-season show, and hockey will be happening. Super excited for that.
You bet, man. You bet. Can't wait. Can't wait.
All right, everyone. That is episode 38 of the Off the Wall Hockey Show, a hockey show for hockey fans, part of the Steel Flyers All Sports Network. We'll be back next week, Friday night, 8 to 10 p.m., doing our usual in-season show, all the regular segments. It's going to be a lot of fun. We'll have plenty of action to talk about from those first few nights of games that we previewed and picked here during this episode, and we'll be right back into the full swing of things as NHL hockey returns. Thank you guys all so much for watching and listening. Very, very, very much appreciated. I hope you guys have a great weekend, and we'll hopefully see you next week and be talking to you soon. Thank you guys so much, and have a good one.